Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for the Q&As, so let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, first question. Hi, I coach guys in their 50s to lift. All of them start at the novice level. I found that they particularly struggle on the squat. I feel unlike any other lift, you've got to lift angry to get it done at the heavier weights. I'm struggling to get this out of my guys. Have you seen this, and how would you approach? That's interesting. The squat, I would say, is arguable on that. I think, based on my experience and a lot of other lifters, the bench press actually requires sometimes more anger and aggression. I would say with the squat, maybe take a different approach with these guys. If you're dealing with guys in their 50s who aren't on TRT, they maybe don't have quite the same testosterone levels and aggression they did when they were younger. And maybe it's because you've dealt with a lot of younger guys at some point. That's how you feel, and you're not a particularly older guy yourself. I just took a glance, and I mean, I don't think you're in your 50s. You could be, but here's what I find with the heaviest weights on squats. I find that deep, intense mental focus is important. I actually prefer to squat fairly calm with the heaviest weights. But it is about focus and concentration. It's about breathing, all of that. So maybe what you should try with some of these guys, if you're struggling to get that, have them do visualization and walk themselves through their mental cues, whatever you think the cues are that they need to work on, whether it's getting their knees out or their ass back or pulling their scapula in tighter, setting that bar in tight up on their back. Have them focus on their mental cues, have them focus on their breathing, and get into a state of deep concentration when you have the guys who can't get that energy and aggression that you're looking for. Because I think either one of those works really, really well for your heavy sets of squats. So that's what I would recommend. Maybe try that strategy instead and see if that works with your guys. All right, next question. Hey coach, I love the simplicity of a workout A and a workout B on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I would quite happily stay on the schedule until the day I die. Although my question this week is, can someone stay on this type of regiment forever and still keep getting bigger and stronger? Can it stay a 5x5, or does the rep scheme need to change? I feel like the simplicity on it, and honestly the Mad Cow 531 and other percentage-based regiments, whatever, make me think I'll probably muck it up, and they seem to take a lot more effort to plan progression than just adding a plate when you can. Thoughts, mate? Cheers. I don't know if I would stick with 5x5 necessarily, and definitely you may want to change rep and set schemes, but could you follow an AB full workout Monday, Wednesday, Friday indefinitely and continue to make progress for many, many, many years? I think you absolutely can. You know, which is interesting is that you know that that's what I'm doing right now. I'm doing a 3-day-a-week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday AB, but I'm also cutting. I think it works well for that. But, you know, is this sort of training pattern, can it be followed indefinitely and continue to make gains? I would say yes. I would say yes. And here's what it comes down to, particularly if you enjoy it. If you enjoy that type of training and you think you could happily do it ever, that means you're going to have a lot of consistency. I would say yes. Will you need to adjust exercise selection, and will you need to adjust rep sets, volume, intensity over time? Yeah, you'll need to adjust those. You will need to adjust those over time in order to make that continued progress. So I don't know if I would stick to purely something like 5x5. In fact, I don't think that I would. But could the AB Monday, Wednesday, Friday full body still work forever? I would say absolutely. As long as you get the rest of the programming right, you could follow that the rest of your life and continue to make gains. I don't see any problem at all with that, particularly if you really enjoy it. And I think that's going to be the key to making something like that work. It's going to be that motivation. All right, next question. Hey bud, hope all is well. Anyways, I wanted to say that I also have a home gym setup that is almost identical to yours. My question is, have you ever thought of using HST? I find it remarkably effective at building and maintaining muscle size and also strength, since they are so closely related. I watch my 5-rep max increase every 2 to 4 months, which is good progress for an advanced lifter. I only use the squat, press, chin-up, RDL or row, bench press, and barbell curl. Yeah, HST. That's funny because it's usually the ammo I prefer in handguns. It's called an HST. But all right, as far as hypertrophy-specific training, I'm familiar with it. I haven't looked at it in a few years. No, I haven't considered it because I'm not big on the higher rep training. I'm just not. It's not my bag. I don't enjoy it. Have I run something similar to HST for a while, particularly when I was working like a 60-hour work week at my corporate job sometimes? Yeah, I did something similar on a 5-day training of similar principles to what they did, just a couple of sets, and then rotated through some rep ranges the way they were, something similar to what they were doing, but that was for a short period of time. I just don't enjoy that style of training, but here's what I would say. If you're enjoying it, and I know plenty of people who have gotten results doing this style of training. If you're enjoying it and it seems to be working for you as an advanced lifter, then by all means carry on. I don't see a problem with that. But for me personally, definitely not my thing. But I can see how doing squat press, chin up, RDL, or rows, bench press, and barbell curl, I think with those exercise selection, running a system like that, I think you could make good results over the years and continue to make results. So more power to you if you enjoy that particular training system. I just don't, because of the rep ranges involved. I don't like high reps. I don't think they're fun. I feel like they're a waste of time for me. I feel like I came around the gym and goofed off, like deloaded, even if they were to failure and I got a pump and I was exhausted and out of breath. It just doesn't feel the same to me as lifting heavy. But you know, to each their own. It's not my bag, but I'm glad that you're getting good results on it, and I've known of other people who have. All right, next question. Hey coach, like you, I wake up pretty early, 4 a.m., so I can get my squats in before college. Do you think training there that early instead of later in the day can impact my performance? Sometimes I think it could, but there isn't much information about it apart from a few studies. Would like to know your take on it. Thanks. I was doing this for a while when I was at 24 Hour Fitness, just to not deal with the crowds and the BS and everything. And funny thing is, I did that because of, again, all the stalking and silly shit, but people still recognized me and approached me. So it was pretty funny. If 4:30 or 5 in the morning, people approached me who recognized me anyways. And even some of the trainers did, so they were there that early. But no, I've trained that way, and I think it's fine. If that's what you have to do to get your training in, it's perfectly acceptable. Your body will adapt to it. And here's what you need to always remember. Even if you are forced to, because of a weird training schedule that's not your ideal peak time for performance, you are forced to lift 5 or 10 pounds less on a lift year round than you could at maybe a better time of day, you're still going to be able to follow the same training, the same progressive overload, the same programming, and you're still going to get the same gains, right? You're still going to get the same gains. People have this idea that because they can do a little more work in some ideal environment, that they don't get similar results off of the same programming and progression, and that isn't necessarily true. It isn't necessarily true. So I really wouldn't worry about things like that to a great extent, or to the extent that people do. It's perfectly fine. You're doing what you have to do to get the training in that you want to get in. And if that means getting up at 4 a.m. to go train, then that's what you have to do. That is ideal. If your programming is on point and at least you're getting the rest, recovery, and fuel, it's still ideal, even if for whatever reason it's not the perfect time for your performance. So carry on, brother. All right, next question. I'm currently working full-time and taking classes 5 days per week. I can always find time to train on Saturday and Sunday, but I have been struggling to find time to train more than once during the week without sacrificing sleep or studying. Is there anything wrong with doing a hard upper-lower split for the weekend, then a quick full-body session during the week just to re-stimulate growth? Thanks, love the content as always. No, there's nothing wrong with that. You're doing what you have to do in your life situation to get 3 training sessions in per week. The fact that you're able to squeeze in those 3 training sessions per week and make it work around your sleep and recovery at all, doing what you're doing, I think is good. It's solid. And I think it's perfectly acceptable. What I would say is you don't even have to do it as purely an upper lower. Now, we would argue that even if you did 3 full body sessions per week, in an ideal world, they'd have 48 hours apart, right? In an ideal world. But you're not in an ideal situation, are you? You could do 2 full bodies on the weekend. And I know that may sound ridiculous because the second one is going to be really, really hard. And then a quick light session like Wednesday or whatever to re-stimulate muscle protein synthesis. You could do that if you chose. And to be honest with you, I really don't think you would see it really affect your gains any negatively over what you're doing now. So I would say whichever one you feel like doing, It would be perfectly acceptable. I mean, if you want to split it up and do a split routine like that on the weekend, the 2 days in a row, you can, or you could do full body, or you could pick exercises that don't fall into an upper lower area, right? Because I mean, where do you throw squats, deadlifts, push presses, power cleans? I mean, lifts like that, where do they go? Are they upper or lower body lifts? They're both. So, you know, I mean, look at it from that context. You don't necessarily have to be totally dogmatic about making it upper lower if you don't choose to, but you can choose to do it that way, and that's fine. I think you're making the best of your situation, and I think that's going to probably allow for, I mean, either way I describe what you're doing versus what I did. I think either way it's going to allow for your ideal progress that you can make given your current life circumstances. And I applaud you for getting in and getting the work done and scheduling it in spite of all that. That's admirable. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.